What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I am here today to talk to you about the 31-26 loss to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This is a weird one. It's like a good game or a bad game wrapped inside a good game wrapped inside a bad game. Going into the third quarter, we looked pretty well. They're going third and fourth, especially the fourth quarter. We looked pretty well done, especially after that first drive of the third quarter, which turned a 10-point game into a 17-point game. Looked like Saskatchewan had it in the bag, had it done. Then in the fourth quarter, we kind of had some pushback. We made it interesting for a bit, only for it to come up meaningless. Our first drive was great. We have a methodical, long, meticulous first drive of the game, the first score of the season, first touchdown of the season. Dustin Crum, after Geno Smith gets it down to the 1 yard line, Dustin Crum sneaks it in, and the Red Blacks strike first, 7-0. And that was all the good things that happened for us in the first half. We had a lot of opportunity to put the game away early, in my opinion. There was a botched field goal for Saskatchewan that turned into a very weird punt that honestly, there was also a penalty because it went right out of bounds. And that's something where you got to turn that into points. And then we get a turnover right after Saskatchewan gets a big play, a first down. And I'm thinking, our defense strips the ball, recovers the fumble in Saskatchewan territory. That needs to come up in points. And instead, not only do we miss the field goal, it gets returned for 60 yards. That's what it said, right? 60 is what I think the official CFL said. Let me see that. Yeah, it was not good. It wasn't good. Didn't even get a single on it. And, as much as it's easy to say, first off, it's a long field goal to make. Like, I don't blame Ward on that. And then there's a missed extra point, which isn't Ward's fault, but it is Leone's bad snap, which, I honestly am somebody where it's like, at that point, just got to get some points. But anyways, after that, it was all Saskatchewan. And that's what I mean by opportunity. We have, right there, could have been 6 points in a game we lost by 5. The missed field goal after a big fumble recovered by Ottawa. Momentum in our favor. The botched field goal. The first quarter could have been a knockout punch. But we just couldn't get it done. Saskatchewan gets back in the game, and then they have something like 21 unanswered. Let me go through, because the first quarter is when we started to see the signs, because then on the next drive for Saskatchewan, it is long, it is methodical, and our defense can't stop a paper bag. And throughout the first 3 quarters of the game, that's how it was. Our run defense couldn't stop anything. We would have 3 players on 1 guy, and he'd still find a way to get an extra 4 yards, when if you would have stopped him 4 yards ago, he would have been, 3rd and 3, now they're 1st and 10. Our secondary, what secondary? It didn't exist. Every time they passed the ball, the Saskatchewan receivers had no one else in their postal code. They're all alone out there. And, but then we would have them come in and, cover the guy, make a play for the ball. It felt like the only time we made a play for the ball is when we were taking a penalty, which was also a huge issue this game. And there were a lot of issues that led to this result. And that's why it's mixed. Because it's issues that, you hope can get fixed. One of the biggest ones is penalties. That's something that should be an easy fix. Our O-line, we had some mismatches. We had some players playing positions they aren't used to. Saskatchewan also had injuries. Their O-line didn't give up 4 sacks. And let me be clear, the O-line gave up 4 sacks. There's a difference between the quarterback giving up a sack and the offensive line giving up a sack. And I'm gonna explain it to you. In simple terms, it's time. If a quarterback is sitting in the pocket all the time in the world, the offensive line is doing everything to give him time, and the quarterback's just taking forever deciding who to pass to. Well, am I going to run? Am I going to do this? And eventually the offensive line just can't, right? Like, an offensive line can only hold back defenders for so long before they eventually, inevitably break through. If the quarterback takes forever to make a decision, and then after a very long time, in terms of football, a defender breaks through and they don't have the presence of mind to tuck and run or chuck it, and they get sacked, that's on the quarterback. That's on the quarterback for not making up their mind. But if the ball gets snapped and then you blink and already there's 3 defenders cornering the quarterback, that's on the offensive line. You've got to hold the line. You've got to protect your quarterback. You've got to give him enough time to at least have time to make a decision. When Drew Brown has time, he's good. He played a great game. Drew Brown deserved to win this game. Drew Brown is still very obviously our quarterback of the future. So long as he's under center, I think we're going to be in every single game. This is a perfect example. In previous seasons, like in the pre-Brown era, the post-Harris pre-Brown era, this is a blowout. This is a dog walking. And Drew Brown is basically the reason why this was a game in the first place. He's the only reason why this was a game in the first place. And I know I feel like I'm banging on the same drum, but our secondary and our O-line have been a problem for, in my opinion, years. And this game seems like not much has changed, despite the fact that everything's changed. The more things change, the more they stay the same, because this isn't the same O-line. This isn't the same defense that we've had in years prior. Maybe there's, some continuity, but for the most part, this is new, and we do have a lot of continuity from last season where we did pretty decent. I expect better, but also I expect better. Maybe, first game, you can maybe write it off as first game jitters, a little bit of rust. This is a wake-up call. Let's see how you do at home against Montreal. Another good team. You're going to need to give it your all. If our defense is as paper thin as they was this game, if our O-line is as paper thin as they were this game, if our special teams is as invisible as they were this game, Montreal's going to walk all over us. But if this is a wake-up call, if we're more disciplined, maybe we got a chance. And our special teams also gave up a lot in terms of kick returns. Saskatchewan just consistently got good field position, and we weren't able to do the same. There was one play in specific where Dedmond, it felt like everybody else on the team was just looking and not blocking for him. Block for Dedmond. Give him a chance to do something. When there's like 5 guys on him, then that means that there's 5 Red Blacks players not doing their job. Look, I get 1 or 2, but seriously, there's like 5 riders surrounding Dedmond, and it's like, where are our players? Are they in the back having a coffee? And it felt like that happened a lot on all sides of the ball, again, except passing. Our passing offense kept us in this game. But yeah, so 7-7 for Saskatchewan right out the gate in the second quarter. Our second quarter was far and away our worst quarter. Next drive, big return is null and void due to a penalty. We were terrible with penalties this game. We got 126 yards worth of penalties. 126. Let me make sure that I'm not underselling that. 26. 12 penalties. 12 penalties, which means that we averaged over 10 yards of penalty. So that shows you the types of penalties that we were taking. We averaged over 10 yards of penalty, and that is literally a football field. Like an actual straight up more than a football field worth of penalties. We lost the game by 5, and if they were to start at their own end zone, we gave up a full football field. That alone is a touchdown. Oh, but Saskatchewan took penalties. They took 5, and they took 41 less yards. 41 less. Which again, in a game where you lose by 5, 41 yards is massive. It's a gigantic difference. You know, think of all the times we were at midfield and punted. You give us 41 more yards, that's at least a field goal. Potentially, that's going for it on third down and maybe scoring. Definitely, though, that's a field goal. Which there was another play. Hardy had a good game, but he had one bad play that, again, small things that in the grand scheme of things really added up. You know, if we'd got blown out, it would be different. It would be different. I'd be like, oh, there's nothing we could do. Like, we lost by 20. But when it ends up being a close score, you look at all those little mistakes and you're like, you know, in the moment, it seems small. Like, that has a major ripple effect that affects the rest of the game. So, yeah, we get the ball after a big return is null and void due to a bad penalty. We move the ball a bit, but have to punt. Defense can do nothing to stop Saskatchewan. They just march down the field, and our great first drive is meaningless because now we're down 7. Next drive on first down, what does our offensive line do? Gives up, and we get to midfield, and now we're down a 2nd and 19. And, well, our punt at least pins them deep in their own zone. When you pin your opponents deep in their own zone, you think, all right, defense, time to step up. And we do. We get an interception at midfield. Just what the doctor ordered. Penalty. We get an interception at midfield. Down 7. Still a close game. You know, our defense is looking kind of rocky. Back-to-back drives, didn't look too hot, kind of let Saskatchewan walk all over them. They got 3 turnovers this game. That if there's one thing our defense did really well, it was turn the ball over. Saskatchewan didn't properly turn the ball over once. Their only proper turnover was end of the game where it's 3rd and 1,000,000 and we just have to go for it because it's our only option. And the play that we did was not what we drew up clearly because who throws a check down 3rd and 27. It clearly just the play wasn't there. But in terms of actual fumble recoveries, in terms of actual interceptions, Brown didn't throw a single interception all game. Sure, there were some that were close, but didn't throw one. A penalty. We're at midfield. We're in striking distance. We take a penalty, moves us back. We do nothing and punt the ball. It got to a point where at halftime, I was thinking, you got to start benching players that take penalties that are unnecessary. Because how else are they going to learn? And we did end up seeing later in the game, Bob Dice, you know, talking to a player saying, what were you doing after a bad penalty? Because discipline was terrible this game. Discipline was beyond terrible this game. And again, discipline, offensive line mishaps, poor secondary, not being able to stop the run, lack of awareness, poor special teams, small things that added up and ultimately lost us the game. And when we give them the ball, what do you think happens? We take another penalty. Our defense is Swiss cheese. We take a PI in the end zone. Thankfully, it's not intentional, but it's still PI. You could say it's soft. Sure. I do think it was a little soft. First off, they're going to score either way. They're very clearly in scoring range, which we got an interception at midfield, and we're turning that into, at worst, 3 points against. I mean, at best, at worst is what happened, a touchdown. Like, it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. And yeah, they do end up... And by the way, because it was half a distance to the goal, we do get the stop. 2nd and 9, we get the stop. They get the chip shot field goal. Sorry, I was wrong. But it's still 17-7. And then we get a deep ball to Hardy, end of the half, and he doesn't hit the deck. And he doesn't hit the deck because, to be fair, when he catches it, not much time. I think Hardy was thinking that he had to make something happen. He needed some magic to happen to maybe get to the end zone. Because, yeah, he caught it with, like, maybe 2 seconds left. Time out before the play. Make sure that no clock bleeds. Use the full 8 seconds, catch the ball, hit the deck, and at least it's in chip shot range for Ward. If we go into the half down 7, huge difference. Not only for momentum, but for confidence. Yeah, we're down 1 score. We scored a late field goal. Saskatchewan was happy. They just went up by 2 scores, and we got right back into the game with no time left. Again, opportunity wasted. Opportunity. I don't know how many times I have to say it. The second quarter was one of the worst quarters of football I've ever witnessed as a Red Blacks fan. We did nothing. Our defense wasn't there. It's the one quarter where I felt our offense was also relatively weak. Second half, what do you think happens? Even with a penalty against Saskatchewan, they just move right down the field. On 2nd and 17, we give up a first down. We let them walk all over us. They score 24 unanswered. 24 points in a row for Saskatchewan. And that's where you could put a bow on this game and give it some postage and ship it out. We made it interesting, but that brief stretch, just from the second quarter to the first drive of the third quarter, that's what cost us the game. You gotta play 60 minutes. You gotta play the full game. You can't give up for 1 quarter, because look what it does. Our next drive, it's a great one, right? It's thorough. We finally get our first score since the first drive of the game. It's Gino Lewis. Welcome to the Red Blacks. Extends his touchdown games with a touchdown streak to 9 games, 24-14. Okay. Things are interesting. 10-point game, third quarter, lots of time in the CFL. In CFL football, you have a million years. If you're down 10 in the third quarter, as long as your defense does their job. Heck, they could even allow a field goal. It's okay. It'd still be a 2-score game. What do you think happens? Every pass wide open, no one in the secondary. Every run, can't stop them. You can have the whole team on them. It doesn't matter. They're going to get extra yards. We're not able to stop them. 31-14. The game-winning score in the third quarter. Not a good look. Again, we make it interesting towards the end. And from this point on, they aren't going to score. But from that point on, they didn't need to. 31-14. We take a 17-point deficit, and we have a good drive, and we bring it back to 10 points. You need to at least force a field goal to keep it a 2-score game, to keep your team in it. And again, when we need them most, they disappear. And now in a must-score drive, Drew Brown bombs one. We got a PI call. It would have been to Pimpleton. We got a PI. So we make up lost yards that we would have lost to a penalty. We lost it in a previous play. Would have been a good return. Nope, there's a penalty. Brings it back. We actually get those yards and then some with the PI call. And then we get another good drive. Again, great game by Drew Brown, who kept us in it. We get a touchdown. We missed the extra point, but we get a touchdown. It's 31-20. Now it's a bad hold, bad snap. It happens. This one's not Ward's fault, and missing a really long field goal. This game didn't give us enough to say anything about Lewis Ward. I still have full faith. But yeah, it's 31-20. Now that's at least 11 points. It's at least interesting. And we get a 2-and-out. And with less than 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, we get their first planned punt. They did technically punt in the first quarter with that field goal that was, the snap was botched, the hold was botched, so they were just kind of forced to do a weird punt. But they wanted a field goal. This is the first time that Saskatchewan actually lined up to punt the ball. It's the fourth quarter. Okay, though, they punt the ball. 13 minutes, down by 11. It's the CFL. That's a lot of time. Can we do anything? It feels like a must-score drive, and I am thinking it's a must-score a touchdown drive. I'm somebody where when you're down by like 11, you want to score the touchdown first, because if you kick the field goal, you're down by 8. You need the 2-point conversion. The good news, even though we missed the 2-point conversion, it puts you in a situation where you know the goal. You got to get a touchdown. And that's what you're going to play for. You're not going to go for, say we actually did something at the end of the fourth quarter. Say we got to 3rd and 5 at their 30. Now, when you know you need a touchdown, you can go for it. When you're unsure and you might kick a field goal and then you miss the 2-point convert later, that sucks. Anyways, on this drive, instant sack. Our O-line wet blanket, instant sack. Keelan White, good game. Got 12 yards, didn't matter. And then Saskatchewan fumbles on the return, but they recover. But okay, something. And then we get another 2-and-out. Okay, something. And then Braylon Addison gets a huge play, despite the fact that we are backed up. We're all the way to our 50 in one go. And then we get another great drive, a beautiful pass from Brown to Hardy. Touchdown, 1-score game, 31-26. We don't get the 2-point. Again, low snap. It's bobbled. Not much we can do. Lewis almost gets it anyways, but alas. In either case, it's a 1-score game. We have life. Our defense needs another stop. And boom. Right after Saskatchewan gets a first down, we force a fumble, jump on the ball, Ottawa football. This is why I can't call it garbage time. Some people were saying it was garbage time. First off, if you think it's garbage time, up by 11 with 7 minutes left in the CFL, you need to get your head checked. It's the CFL. 11 points is nothing. You know, if it was 21 points, yeah, sure, I get 7 minutes is an eternity. But I will admit that Saskatchewan was playing different on offense. They were clearly trying to bleed clock. I just think it was a mind-boggling decision that nearly cost them the game. They came really close to blowing it. But had we won this game, it would have been Saskatchewan blowing it. So it's hard for me to put a lot of stock in. And then our defense got really good in the fourth quarter. Did our defense get good? Did their offense get purposefully bad? Way too early. You can't start playing like this until the game is 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left up by 11. Okay, then I can understand. They were playing like that with way too much time on the clock. And this is a perfect example because this fumble and recovery in Saskatchewan territory. We're down by 5. All of a sudden, our offense has looked alive. Our offense has been good all game. Again, maybe if we didn't have 41 extra yards of penalty, that could have helped us here. But nonetheless, we are right on the precipice of doing something great. Maybe if Hardy went down early. Right? If Hardy went down, hit the deck with a second left on the clock, if we used a timeout, maybe that changes the outcome. See what I mean? If we don't take as many penalties and Hardy hits the deck, if we use a timeout and Hardy hits the deck, all of a sudden we're down by 2 deep in Saskatchewan territory. See what I mean by little things add up? Instead, big sack. We don't get anything done. We punt. They punt with no time left. They get down the field, and by the time we get the ball back, there's almost no time. We get to 3rd and 27. We have a check down. We force a punt with 7 seconds left. We don't return it 110 yards for a touchdown, and the game ends. And that's the game. That's all she wrote. Like I said, there was some good. I want to give you Drew Brown. 34 completions on 41 attempts, 413 yards, 2 touchdowns, an average of 10.1 yards a pass. A lawn of 32. Our rushing wasn't great, but on receiving, Justin Hardy, Braylon Addison, Eugene Lewis, Keelan White, and William Stanback. 5 players who all had at least 4 receptions and got at least 9 yards per reception on average. Justin Hardy had 8 receptions on 10 targets, 133 yards, a touchdown, averaged 16.6 yards. Both him and Addison had 48 yards after the catch. We had a really good game on offense, especially specifically passing. Our passing game was clicking, was firing on all cylinders. Quite frankly, they deserved more than 26 points. But penalties, bad penalties, and the defense wasn't the best. And also our return game did not put them in a great spot for this to translate into points, into field goal. Lewis Ward took the field once, and that was it, other than extra points. But again, close. Again, something that you can work on. And the other question is, how good is Saskatchewan? Early in a season, it's sometimes hard to tell if, was this a battle between, a good team and a bad team, 2 kind of average-ish teams, or was this a battle of titans? Because, I said I think I could see this being a potential Grey Cup matchup. Like, it wouldn't shock me. Like, I wouldn't be falling out of my seat if we see a Riders Red Blacks Grey Cup game this season. I've said that I think those are the 2 teams that I think, I'm most confident in saying in the next 5 years, those 2 teams are going to win a Grey Cup. Based off of where they are now, the weapons that they currently have, and, the future that I see them going towards. We have a lot of continuity. I think that this is a team that can do stuff. Hopefully it was that. Hopefully this was a battle of the titans. Hopefully it was defense is a little bit rusty and we were a little undisciplined, and that's something that you can work on. And you work out the kinks, and then next game you come more prepared. Because next game's a big game. It's against Montreal. They are no easy team. They're going to be tough. They're the only team that beat us at home last season. And we get them right out the gate at TD Place. You got to open TD Place strong. You can lose an away game, a 9 p.m. start. Ugh, gross. Win at home, reassert some dominance, and get back into it. Because there was some ugly stuff this game. We made it closer than I think most Riders fans would have liked. And a game in the third quarter that was looking like it was nothing but bad news turned into an interesting game where, you know what? Drew Brown, he seemed to be laboring with his hip at the end of the game, but he did finish the game. Hopefully it's a small thing, with some massage therapy or something, some physical training will get him right back up to being 100%. Because, we need Brown. We need him. Without Brown, our season's done. I'm going to say. Without Brown, just throw it out. But with Brown, as he proved today, we're in every game. We've got a chance. With Brown, Hardy, Lewis, Stanback, Addison, we're in every game. That's all for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because that helps me out a lot. Lots more CFL. I got to talk about the PWHL. I got to. And as always, go, Ottawa, go.